What is Alex Periera afraid of? Like, I genuinely don't understand why he keeps avoiding a fight with Magomed Anklaev, which, in my opinion, is very winnable for him. It is a very winnable fight for Alex Pereira. Yes, Magomed Anklaev can wrestle, but if he wrestles, like, is he going to do any damage? If you look at his fight with Jan Blachowiz, who he was able to take down, it ended up in, I believe, a draw because of the fact that even though Magomed Anklaev took him down a lot, the judges didn't really see him do much with that control time, right? He didn't do enough damage to Jan Blachowiz for it to be considered a victory, right? And Jan Blachowiz was doing enough damage on the feet, albeit briefly, to kind of even the score. Even though he was put on his back, his leg kicks were bothering Magomed Anklaev so much that he had to take the fight to the ground and basically lie on top of him for 20 minutes or whatever the case may be. Now, the thing here is, yes, there is that threat of the takedown, but once again, like, Alex Pereira has knockout power. Alex Pereira can keep himself relatively safe on the ground. Alex Pereira can get back up to his feet. Alex Pereira can do tons of damage with leg kicks. His are some of the most dangerous in the entire sport, right? So, like, sure, maybe Magomed Anklaev is the favorite, but this is by no means an unwinnable fight for Alex, and I think he could very clearly win a decision. I think he could score a knockout, quite frankly, right? But it's just one of these things that, like, I get from a business perspective what the UFC is trying to do, right? Like, they are trying to protect Alex Pereira a little bit from losing his title because he's the face of the UFC. He is a star within the UFC. And so they're wanting to kind of ride this train out for a little bit longer, right? I totally get that. But, I just don't understand. Like, at a certain point, you start looking ridiculous, right? For putting basically anyone other than the number one contender up against Alex Pereira. Like, you had Khalil Rountree fight for a title, and he was ranked number 7 or 6 or something like that. And by the way, he put on a great performance. He went on his shield. Like, everybody became fans of Khalil Rountree after that night. But it's one of these things, like, he's clearly not the number one contender, right? The only other person right now who I think could raise their hand and make a case and have it not be absurd is Jan Blachowiz, because of the fact that, okay, he fought Magomed Anklaev to a draw. You know, he lost a split decision to Alex Pereira when he first entered the light heavyweight division. Like, he's the only one who's put up any kind of fight where judges saw it the other way. So raise your hand, make some noise, and say, hey, it's me. I'm the guy. I'm the guy who can beat Alex Pereira, right? Now, do they go with that? I don't know, right? Because Jan Blachowiz isn't super, isn't a that might be what they're doing. That's the only thing that makes sense from a sport perspective, right? The only other guy who's even remotely interesting, I think, is Carlos Ulberg, but I think he needs another win to even be considered. Like, let's look at who the rankings are, right? Like, there's Alex Pereira, there's Magomed Anklaev, there is Yuri Prohaska, there's Jamal Hill. He's beaten both of them, right, in fairly dominant fashion. Yuri twice, Jamal Hill once, right? If it's the winner of Jamal Hill versus Yuri, that'll be absolutely ridiculous. So I highly doubt they're gonna do that. I mean, maybe if Jamal Hill puts on a dominant performance against Yuri, which that's entirely possible, right? Maybe they do that, right? Because they're on the UFC 311 card. Like I said, Jan Blachowiz might be the only guy who can raise his hand, make some noise, and say, hey, look, I fought this guy to a split decision. I fought this guy to, I fought the number one contender, and, it was a draw. So, I'm the guy, right? But I don't think he's going to do that, right? I think he had the idea to come back, fight someone, and then speak for the title. And I think he's 40-41 right now. So it's he's getting up there. But Alex is 37, right? So, but beyond that, who could it be? Right? Beyond those two, Magomed Anklaev, Jamal Hill, Jan Blachowiz, who could it be? It could be, Carlos Ulberg might make sense. But it's I don't know, man. His last win, what was that? UFC China or something like that. I don't even remember the guy he fought. And like his performance was great, and he looks like someone who actually could do really well against Alex Periera, but he's clearly not the number one contender. He's clearly not the number one contender. So, I mean, if they do that, once again, it looks ridiculous, right? I mean, and here's the thing. So I don't know when he's planning to fight. I don't know when they're planning to put Alex back. My guess is it's probably going to be in March, right? And that's Ramadan. So Magomed Anklaev, I don't think he fights in Ramadan. So, like, that could be what's behind this, right? Like, it might not be a situation where Alex Periera is ducking necessarily, but it's kind of like, okay, it's not going to be Anklaev. Why? Because I want to fight in March, and Magomed Anklaev isn't going to fight in March because it's Ramadan, right? So it's like, yeah, like, anyway, it looks foolish. It looks silly to me. It looks like he's trying to avoid that fight, but that could be just like the way the chips fell, and the way it's been communicated is kind of ridiculous, driving fans nuts and everything like that. So that could be kind of another thing that's going on here. But at the end of the day, right, like, to me, the only options right now for Periera that don't look absolutely absurd, like Jamal Hill, winner of Jamal Hill and Yuri, that would be absurd, right? Unless Jamal Hill wins in absolutely spectacular fashion, right? Jan, that makes a bit of sense, right? Like I said, you know, I took the number one contender to a draw, split decision loss. One of the judges thought I had won that fight, put me up there, right? Like, that's the only guy to me that's the only case that could be made that isn't insane. And then Carlos Ulberg, like, that might be a really fun fight, but to me, like, he has absolutely not earned a title shot. Not yet, anyway. Like, he's got to get at least one more win, somebody in the top 5, I think. So that's kind of where I'm at. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Do you think Alex is ducking? Do you think this is simply a scheduling thing where, like, you know, Magomed Anklaev doesn't want to fight in March because of Ramadan, but Alex wants to stay busy, so he wants to fight in March? Like, could that be it? You know, is the UFC going with someone like Carlos Ulberg, waiting for the results of Jamal Hill versus Yuri? Are they going to be going with Jan? Who do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. If you wouldn't mind, hit the like and subscribe button. Helps with the algorithm, helps grow the channel. And do you think this is a ducking thing, or is this the UFC trying to protect Alex Periera? Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.